Hi dosto, namaskar. Hope you are doing well. Welcome to our YouTube channel Baji Rao IAS Academy. Today is 21st September and we are going to discuss the daily Hindu newspaper analysis. And as you all know, we on the daily basis discuss some of the important prelims question. Why we discuss it on the daily basis? In simple words, because it gives you insights about the topics, about the question that the UPSC asks, and it is one of the important pillar for your UPSC journey because syllabus and the PYQ, it plays a very important role in deciding factor for your success. So make sure that the syllabus and the PYQ, whether it is for the mains, whether it is for the prelims, be a stick to your table so that you should recall each and every time the syllabus, and if any articles come in the newspaper you may be able to link with that syllabus and the topic relevance. Okay, so in today's question we will talk about delimitation commission. You can pause the video and try to solve that. If you start practicing from now onwards, then you have ample of time to focus upon, and your analytical power will definitely increase, and that will help you in attempting the real time MCQs that the UPSC asks. And you may sure that in the coming years the dimensions of the prelims is getting increased and getting deeper, and to crack that there is a need to have a lot of practice in solving MCQ. That is very important. So we provide you some of the initiatives that will help you in generating thoughts. So the question is, with reference to the Delimitation Commission, consider the following statements. The first statement is, the orders of the Delimitation Commission cannot be challenged in a court of law. The second statement, when the orders of the Delimitation Commission are laid before the Lok Sabha or the State Legislative Assembly, they cannot effect any modification in the orders, and you have to select the correct option. However, if you are able to answer this, well and good, proud of you. But if you are not, then don't worry, we are here to help you. And for that, you have to watch our lecture series to get the answer. And definitely, after listening our lecture, you will be able to solve in a very easy way. So we continue with us, and if you are liking our initiative, please do like, share, subscribe, and share it with your friend circle. So now, friends, we are forwarding with our discussion lecture. And what we have to focus today on the discussion, we have two important articles related to the editorial discussion and four important articles related to the prelims series. So for the editorial discussion, we will talk about Women's Reservation Bill and the Delimitation Commission. And in the Women's Reservation Bill, we have already talked about the basics in yesterday lecture. If you hadn't watched, please do watch that and then come here. Here we will further elaborate about the positive impact that this bill can bring to the women and to the society. And not only that, we will extend our discussion to Delimitation Commission, because the bill says if Delimitation Commission has not been established, then this quota of implementation of 33% reservation will be getting implemented from 2029 onwards, not from the next general election, that is 2024. So we will see why a delimitation is necessary and why government is postponing it to the 2029 onwards rather than 2024 general election. So we will discuss, and you should be with us for the discussion as well. And now the second article will be focused on climate change and mitigation strategy. Well, you all know that the impact of climate change is the global warming, and global warming is becoming stronger and stronger in the society, in the life of the people, specifically to the developing country and the least developed country. So we will discuss some of the mitigation strategy, but the mitigation strategy that the article discusses, it also says that some of the experimental technologies should be avoided, like the solar radiation management technique. It talks about like restricting the incoming solar radiation, like floating mirror into the atmosphere, into the space, to reflect back the incoming solar radiation so as to decrease the radiation of the sun and to prevent the earth from global warming. But in this article it talks about that this type of technique are at experimental stage, so better to do proper research and analysis before applying it into the real time scenario. So what are the concerns we have to discuss in detail, and definitely it is a very interesting article. We will discuss from basics about climate change, what does it mean, and what do you mean by adaptation and mitigation. If you know, then please do comment, and if not, then don't worry, we are here to help you. So friends, we will discuss in detail. Along with, we have 4 articles of prelims discussion. First of all, we will discuss about India's travel advisory for Canada. Here I will ask you some of the questions for the physical geography related to the Canada. Okay, you have to answer. And the second article will be related to the gravitational instability, which affects the evolution of galaxy. We live in a planet which is called habitable planet, but do you know that our planet, it is very less number in terms of the planet which exist in the galaxy. So galaxy is what? Basically galaxy is the huge mass of clouds. Along with, in that cloud we have the planet, star, the gas, and all that formation do occurs in the galaxy. So how the planets and the stars are stuck in the galaxy? Because of the gravitational attraction and the dark energy. So actually we will understand that how gravitational instability affects the evolution of galaxy. Okay, and you should know about basics of gravitational force, that it is basically attractive force that attracts material towards them. For example, in earth we have the gravitational force that attracts the materials towards the earth. That's why we feel weight in our earth. It is all because of the gravity. Okay, you should understand that. Now we will move on the Nagorno-Karabakh dispute, which is a dispute of region between the Azerbaijan and Armenia. So for the prelims point of view, the location becomes very important, and UPSC do have a favorite philosophy of asking question related to map, specifically if the region is in dispute, so you can understand from the previous year paper analysis. And the last prelims bite will be focused on Asian Development Bank, which lowered the India's GDP growth prediction to 6.3%, rather 6.4% earlier that ADB had predicted. So we will understand why they lowered it and what may be the impact. We will understand in detail. So be with us. We will definitely going to discuss all these articles. Okay. Now we have a question for you for the UPSC mains, and you have to answer in the comment section, or you can join our Telegram channel to answer the question. So the question is, discuss the consequences of climate change on food security in tropical countries. Why I asked you this question? It is all because recently UPSC had conducted its mains examination, and in the mains examination this question was asked. So what I am trying to conclude that UPSC is moving towards dynamicity rather focusing on a static, meaning they are interlinking the static topic with dynamic topic. That is the pillar of UPSC for asking question whether it is mains or the prelims. Okay, so in today's article of discussion we are definitely going to discuss some of the points, and you have to be selective while reading the question. Like it is talking about consequences of climate change on food security in which region? In tropical countries. Tropical countries is who? That is the India, South Asia, okay, Pakistan. These all are tropical countries that lies in the tropical belt, and the climate change impact is very huge used in the tropical region, and because of that we can have food insecurity, we can have the impact on our crops. The crops may get burned, the crops may get affected because of the disease rise, because of the lack of the rainfall, because of affecting disturbance of the southwest monsoon. That's why the impact of climate change on food security, specifically for the tropical country, may more heavier and heavier. So you have to be context specific to get marks rather than your perception specific. That is the point I wanted to raise here. So if you are liking our initiative, please do spread in the friend circle, and also do join our Telegram channel to have a answer session, as well as if you write the answer and if you send into our Telegram channel, we may review your answer and will recommend you the important changes you should do while carrying on the main sense writing. Please do join our session. Okay, please do join our Telegram channel. The link has been given into the description box. Now shifting our focus to editorial discussion, the first article will be related to GS paper 2. So when we talk about women's reservation bill, why there is a need for women's reservation bill, we have already discussed that India is dominated by patriarchal mindset. Patriarchal mindset means male dominated society. You see various examples like decision making power taken by men. In fact, the work culture dominated by men. In fact, the political representation of MPs, MLAs dominated by men. And not only that, the decision to have a personal life, the decision on marriage is all done by men. What does it mean? It means the dominance of patriarchal society. So on the one side we have a population about 50% of women in the total population. But when we talk about the women's representation in the political scenario, it is less than 15%, specifically to the Lok Sabha seat. That means the representation is very low, and you can understand the impact of all these gender inequality, that the law or the bill which gets passed from the parliament or the state legislature does not have the woman's voice, despite that bill or the law have repercussions on the woman's right, on the society, and the voice of woman gets ignored because of lack of participation. That is the point I wanted to tell you. So there was a need, there is a need, there will be a need until and unless the patriarchal mindset gets eliminated. And to get them eliminated, we need to bring laws, we need to perform awareness campaign and many more. This is one of the system, and many initiatives can be taken and had been taken by various state government and the union as well. So we will discuss about women's reservation bill basic. So when we talk about its history, already in 1996 the talks on bringing reservation to women in the parliament and the state legislative assembly was discussed, but due to the lack of support or the consensus, this bill remained pending for long years, approx 27 years, and the bill didn't get support. Why support was not accumulated? It was because lack of consensus. There was opposition via different parties, and because of that the reservation bill was not passed. So this is like a situation where bills and bills get brought into the house, but when it comes to the passage there becomes consensus less. So we have to think on this issue in detail. So on basics, coming to the topic, this reservation bill comes as a 128th constitutional amendment bill 2023, which aims to provide 33% of the quota or the reservation to women in parliament and state legislature. And this bill also known as Nari Shakti Bandhan Adhiniyam, and this bill when get passed it will be valid for 15 years, and parliament can extend this reservation for more years, that is for further more years after completion of 15 years as well. So what does it means? That to make it a law you have to understand that there is a need for constitutional amendment, and constitutional amendment requires the passage of this bill from Lok Sabha as well and from Rajya Sabha as well. But from which majority? Whether a special majority or the simple majority? Yes, you thought right. It is a special majority, and you should comment in the comment box about a special majority. What does it mean, and for which bill the special majority gets required? You should also comment. The sessions should be interactive so that your capability of thinking and concentration should increase along with time. If you are interactive, if you are passive learner, then you should change your attitude, be active learner, okay, be participative, be interactive. That is the point I wanted to convey to you. So we have talked about the basics, and now we discuss about certain positive benefits, like it will ensure empowerment of women and along with gender sensitization in lawmaking, because women participation in the lawmaking may get increased. Currently in the Lok Sabha we have about 15%, and after this passage of the bill definitely the share of women will increase to 33%. That means more gender sensitization in the lawmaking. That is the point. And also there may be the decriminalization of the politics, as there will be fewer criminal charges against women legislature as compared to the men. Along with there may be reduction in the gender gap and equality. Why reduction? Because of more participation in the political representation of the women. So that is the point. But as I already told you that even this bill get passed and get president assent, but the provision of 33% is not going to be implemented in upcoming 2024 elections. And maybe the government had already clarified that from 2029 this provision of reservation will get implemented if the bill get passed. So why government has restricted to 2029 rather than 2024? Because they argued that currently we don't have the census conducted of 2021 that was pending. Along with, there is a need for a delimitation of the constituency via Delimitation Commission that also had not been established. So the government tried to delay its implementation to 2029. That is the point government talked about. But you should know that constitution does not provide for any barrier that government cannot do reservation provision in 2024. The government can do, but as you know, there is political angle involved in that. So government try to shift the demand and the provision to the implementation in 2029. That is also one of the point. So we will not discuss political angle, we will discuss angle with respect to examination point of view. So we have talked about the issues related to delimitation. What the issue was, delimitation exercise has not been done yet, and census 2021 has not been conducted yet. Don't worry, we are going to discuss some of the basics about population census. We have the latest data of 2021 census, and census gets conducted in every 10 years. So after 2011, we have the next census 2021, but due to COVID-19 and various restrictive measures, this census get challenged, and again it is in the preparatory mode. So maybe in 1 or 2 years the report of census 2021 may arrive, but we will discuss when it comes. Okay, so what is delimitation? You have to understand the basic. We have a parliamentary system, and in the parliamentary constitution, what happens is that our territory, our Indian territory, is divided into constituency, and the constituency may be called as parliamentary constituency because it represents the seats of the Lok Sabha or the Raj Sabha, or the state legislative assembly constituency because it represents the seats of the state legislature. Okay, so that is the point, and each constituency has a definite area, and that is decided based on the population. You can understand the state which has higher population may get more number of seats. Okay, like UP, higher population, that's why the seats in the Lok Sabha or the state legislative assembly is also higher, and also it is further aided by area as well. So you need to understand the basics. Okay, so we have talked about delimitation, and in this process the number of seats allocated to a particular state or the UT in the Lok Sabha or in the legislative assembly may vary. That's why we have taken example, like if you talk about Bihar, we have the legislative seats different as compared to the legislative seat of Uttar Pradesh. Along with, we have different Lok Sabha seats in Bihar as compared to the number of seats in UP, or the number of seats in Arunachal, or the number of seats in Meghalaya or any other state. That is the point you should be clear about. Okay, now shifting to some of the constitutional provisions that deals with the delimitation. So our constitution is a living document, and it do provides about delimitation. Why our constitution has provided about delimitation of constituency? Because the population gets increased every year and in every decade, and to adjust the aspirations of the increasing population, there is a need to delimit the constituency so that the member of parliament or the political representative better address the problems of the peoples of their constituency. That is the point. So Article 82 and Article 170 of the Constitution empowers the Parliament to readjust the allocation of seats in the Lok Sabha and the Legislative Assembly of the states respectively, but after every census. After every census meaning in 10 years, because in India census is conducted after every 10 years. Okay, so accordingly, after independence and after the implementation of the constitution, the parliament enacted the Delimitation Commission Act, and in this act there is a provision to establish a statutory body, that is your Delimitation Commission, that has the task for determining the number of constituency for each state for the Lok Sabha or the for state legislative assembly. So you can see the example that up to now delimitation commissions have been set up 4 times. One that was first was set up in 1952, then again 1963, then after 10 years 1973, then after that 2002. Now you may observe some pattern that till 1973 the Delimitation Commission was getting set up in every 10 years, but what it happened that after 1973 there was a gap of conducting delimitation, and even now we have 2021, the delimitation has not been conducted. That is the point I wanted to understand you, because here if you are not able to understand, you may stuck in any of the point, whether it is in interview may get asked this question, as well as in the mains or the prelims question. So you should have better clarity over this. So why after 1973 the Delimitation Commission was set up in 2002 basically? So it was all because of the regional disparity in the population growth between North India and the South India. Remember, the phase of 1970s was the phase of population explosion, specifically in the northern India. In the northern India, population was rising very rapidly, and in the southern India, population stabilization was getting better and better. So there was disparity in the population balance. That means the political party will better be benefited for the North India as compared to the South India, and the seat or the constituency may dominate in the Northern India as compared to the Southern India. That's why the government of that time decided to freeze the Delimitation Commission and to delimit the constituency till the population get balanced between North India and the South India. So that's why even after 1973 delimitation, the proposal for conducting next Delimitation Commission was suspended, was freezed again and again, and the last Delimitation Commission was conducted in 2002, and in 2002 the Delimitation Commission has the task of conducting delimitation of constituency not based on the total seat which has been allocated for the Lok Sabha or for the state legislative assembly, but this allowed that internal readjustment of the constituency in the state may take place, but not the overall number of seats which has been decided based on 1973 population. So you should understand this trap here to get proper understanding about the idea. Okay, so you can see here the 84th Amendment Act 2001 has postponed the lifting up of the cap on the maximum seats in the parliament for the year 2026. That's why until now, even 2021 got passed, the delimitation exercise was not conducted, but it will get definitely conducted after 2026, because up to 2026 there is a freeze on conduction of the Delimitation Commission. And you can understand that internal readjustment of the constituency within the state was allowed via 87th Amendment Act 2003, and that provided for delimitation of constituency on the basis of 2021 census, not 1991 census. You have to be clear here for the prelims or for the mains, because many students do wrong here in understanding the concept. If you hadn't understood the concept, please go and repeat this lecture series and try to understand in a deeper manner. So why there is a need for delimitation? It is actually to provide equal representation to equal segments of population, along with fair division of geographical area, so that one political party doesn't have an advantage over the others, and along with to follow the principle of one vote and one value. And if a delimitation will not be conducted, you may assure that even the population expansion is happening, and also we have one representative for each parliamentary constituency, and if population is increasing, meaning that representative, that political representative will not be able to cater the aspiration and the needs of the population of that constituency, because rise in population means what? More burden, and more burden means what? Lesser care. That is the point. Okay, so you need to understand all these. So now we are coming to about the basics of Delimitation Commission. When we talk about Delimitation Commission, it is basically high powered statutory committee. Can you tell me the difference between a statutory body, constitutional body, and the executive body? Please tell in the comment section. Okay, and this Delimitation Commission body is entrusted with the task to determine the number of boundaries of constituency of state legislative assembly or the Lok Sabha. Okay, to make the population of all constituency nearly equal, so that there should be no discrimination based on the population or based on the geographical area. Like some area, yes, some state may be bigger in size and some may be a smaller in size, means there may be the chances of discrimination. So to avoid this, we have certain frameworks, certain laws, certain rulings that prevents the dominance of single state or the single state population. Okay, and also this body has the duty to identify seats reserved for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, and who appoint this body, who appoint the members of this body? It is basically the President of India. Okay, you should know the basic. The question had been asked and we have provided you the question as well. So when we talk about composition and power of the Delimitation Commission, we have three members in it: Chief Election Commissioner, respective state election commissioner, and we have the retired Supreme Court judge. And let's say three member, and if there is a difference of opinion among the member, the opinion of majority prevails, meaning let's say in a decision two member have voted for yes and one voted for no, meaning the decision in the favor of two members because majority of voted for yes. That is also one of the point. And here you can now able to solve the prelims question. The commission's order cannot be challenged in a question before any court. Yes, you may be in suspense that why it cannot be challenged in the court, because the constitution itself mentions that. That is the point to be noted. And also the commission's order are laid before the Lok Sabha and Legislative Assembly concerned, but they cannot effect any modification in the order. That is also very important point. So now you can be able to solve the question. I think you will be confident enough to solve the question which was asked in the prelims, and better if you are solving, then please do comment in our comment section. So coming to the census basics. So what do you mean by census? Census means basically an exercise where there is a collection of data, compiling analysis of the data regarding the economic, demographic, or the social angle. Okay, and it is conducted at a specific time. Maybe it can be for the 10 years at a time or the 5 years at a time, depending country to country. For example, in India, we have the 10 years period to conduct census. Okay, and who is the nodal ministry in India to conduct the census? It is basically Office of the Registrar General and Census Commissioner, that comes under Ministry of Home Affairs. And what is the legal backing here? So basically the census gets conducted under the provision of Census Act 1948 and population census. Remember, very important. It is a union subject under Article 246 of the Constitution, and the census of 2011 is your 15th census, and the census of 2021 will be your 16th census. And you should attempt a question. Tell me about the sex ratio of India, specifically catering from the data of 15th census of 2011, basically, not 2021, because itself even it is not conducted yet. Okay, so you have the clarity of the basic, clarity of the Delimitation Commission, clarity of the Women's Reservation Bill. Now any question comes, whether it is prelims, mains, you will be confident enough to solve the question. Now shifting our focus to second editorial discussion, it will be related to GS paper 3, and it will be talking about the climate change and mitigation strategy. Okay, so when we talk about the climate change, what do you mean by climate change? Whether it is natural phenomena or the anthropogenic or man-made phenomena. So if you dip deeper, that means you will be analyzing that climate change is basically a natural phenomena in the historical times, and now the climate change we are facing is mostly dominated by human factor, that is man-made factor. Why man-made factor? Because we are emitting greenhouse gases, okay, like methane, like the carbon dioxide, like the water vapor in more and more amount, and that means these gases are heat trapping gases that traps the heat and makes our atmosphere warmer, and that prevents the release of outgoing terrestrial radiation from our atmosphere to the space. That means restricting our atmosphere to become cooler, and that's why we faces the warming up of the temperature, the warming up of the atmosphere, and the impact is we are seeing on various dimensions, whether it is economy, whether it is food security, whether it is the population which is vulnerable to the climate change, like poorer or the marginalized sections all over the world. It is not a exception, it has become a reality. So scientists all over the world are focusing on mitigating or getting adopted to the climate change or the global warming. So they are bringing various technology advancements to deal with that, and all the advancements or the modifications we can categorize into whether it is adaptation or whether it is mitigation. So first of all, you should have better understanding about climate change. It is long-term shift in temperature and weather pattern, and they may be natural or maybe man-made. And why may be natural? Because of volcanic eruptions. We doesn't control volcano. If you are going to control volcano, then gods know what will happen. Okay, so and also solar cycle, like change in the solar revolution or the angle of inclination of the solar, that is also one of the point. And we have already talked about man-made factor. So when we talk about impact, and we have already talked to you about solving UPSC mains question like impact of climate change on food security in the tropical countries, and that is one dimension. There is many dimension involved here, like impact of global warming on sea level rise, like glacier melting, and due to glacier melting the volume of water gets entered into the sea, and that will lead to sea level rise, along with melting of ice caps, changing in the rain pattern we are seeing in India as well. For example, the southwest monsoon. In August, we have the driest period of monsoon, which was never to be the driest because it is the period of monsoon. Okay, and we have the extreme events like we are seeing extreme rainfall in some area, like in the Himachal, we are seeing like in the Uttarakhand. Okay, along with it will have major impact on the coral reef. Can you tell me about the coral reefs, some of the points? What is the significance of coral reefs? Should you comment in the comment box? Okay, so we have talked, and now to deal with the climate change, we are bringing technology and technological advancement that can be categorized into mitigation and adaptation. When we talk about mitigation, we are trying to curb, we are trying to limit the increase in emission of the greenhouse gas. How we can promote it? Via renewable energy like solar, like wind. Okay, it is your alternative source of energy, rather promoting fossil fuel, rather promoting coal based thermal power plants, because that plants do increase the carbon content into our atmosphere. So we can have eco-friendly transportation, we can have seasonal eating and less meat. Why? Because meat consumption, meaning you are contributing to the global climate change because it requires huge water. Okay, and when we talk about adaptation, it means the climate change is the reality. You are not trying to curb that, but you are adopting your lifestyle to the changing nature of climate, like more resilient agricultural species, like drought resistant crops. Okay, and you are bringing fridge, refrigerator, AC and all that. These all are example of adaptation. Okay, along with genetic engineering modifications, all are getting promoted. It is also an example of adaptation. Okay, along with flood barriers in the urban space, it is also an example. So we have provided you some of the examples. Now coming to the main article, the main article is focusing on the mitigation techniques, and this mitigation technique that has been referred here, that is your solar radiation management technique, and it is at experimental stage. Its impact at the global level does not known for very much, so we should be careful about implementing these mitigation strategy. Now what is your solar radiation management? You have to understand basics that our earth or our atmosphere gets heated due to outward terrestrial long wave radiation, meaning the sun brings to our earth's surface the heat in the form of short wave solar radiation, but when it is received by earth, the earth release the heat in the form of outgoing terrestrial radiation that heats up the atmosphere. Okay, so if we have a technique like we take a huge and big mirror and insert into the space, and that mirror, if they reflect the solar radiation, incoming solar radiation, that means we will be having what? Less amount of incoming solar radiation. And if less amount of incoming solar radiation means what? Our earth or our atmosphere will be less prone to heat, and less prone to heat means it may promote cooling. That is the point of this technology. And there are many more technology like increasing the amount of stratospheric aerosol, because aerosols are solid particles that are very very finer, but they are able and capable to reflect the solar radiation, along with increasing the cloud, because cloud do reflects the solar radiation, incoming solar radiation. So these all are the technique coming under the solar radiation management, and it is also known as geoengineering. Okay, so you should understand all of these, and these all are experimental stage. But why? Because we are not able to predict the positive outcome as well as the negative outcome in a better way, because these all are experiment. So maybe the repercussions may be more deeper, we may not able to understand. So we have to better focus on more research and analysis of the data to get these type of technology implemented in the real scenario. That is the point article is discussing, because there is a risky solution, like it may interfere with the natural mechanism with unavoidable planet wide effects. There is an example. Let's say even this SRM technology, solar radiation management technology, gets implemented in a country like South Africa. Let's be talking about, okay, like in the atmosphere of the region of South Africa, we have placed big mirror. Okay, so sun radiation is coming and they are getting reflected, meaning the South Africa may get less solar radiation. So this region may get cool, but how this may impact the other region, how this may impact the crops, how may this impact the food security of different country, it is not judged properly. So it may promote locust attack in different country, for example, and that may destroy the crops in different country like Pakistan, India. So that is the point you should care about. So this all comes under geoengineering. And also, if there is a repercussion, who will be accountable? Because at the global level we don't have the accountability agreement regarding this. So there should be proper analysis. And why we are focusing on this, despite we have the provisions and we have the better idea to cut the emission of carbon, why we are focusing? Because we don't have political will. We are lacking in terms of political will. So only we are just ignoring and just kidding, like we are not finding solution, but we are finding alternative. We do have solution, but we are not focusing on solution. Like we should have afforestation, we should have alternative source of energy, we should have advancement in alternative sources, but we are not focusing. And also why this technology is bad, because one of the report of Climate Oversight Commission, they talked about there is a need for more research to close the crucial scientific governance gaps. So we have discussed all this article. Hope you understood. Now you can attempt the question of the mains. And now we are shifting to daily current affairs for the prelims purpose. Now first article, it is related to India's travel advisory for Canada. And why it is the news? Well, you already know. We have discussed the Khalistani issue and also the disturbing phase of India-Canada relation because of all the issue. Okay. So what is the point here to note? That from Canada to India, every year we see large number of tourists comes. Okay, and one of the important location for the Canadian tourists to India is Kerala, and you can understand that in 2019 we have approx 27,000 Canadian tourists coming. Even in 2018, 2017, on average we can say that in Kerala every year approx 20 to 30,000 tourists comes. That means if the relation is getting tougher, it will impact the hospitality sector, the tourism sector. And every time when there is a disturbance in relation, that means the impact on hospitality, the impact of tourism gets affected. And after that, there may be impact on the investment, the trade. We have already talked about impact on overgrowing free trade agreement talks. Okay, so that is the point you should note. So this article is completed. Now you should look into the map and go to the location of Canada and just look the physical map and search where it is Baffin Bay. Okay, where there is a strait, that is Davis Strait. Okay, you should search. Along with, there is famous lake in Canada. Can you name that? What is the name of largest island of Canada? Can you name that? So go to the map. Please do find all these items from your map section. This will boost your confidence in solving map based question, which is very important for the UPSC prelims examination. Okay, so now shifting to our second article. The second article deals with how gravitational instability affects evolution of galaxy. When we talk about gravitation, it is a force and that attracts the objects towards itself. And you should be well aware that all the stars, all the planets, they are existing at their position. It is all because gravity is balancing all of them. And what is the power of gravity that all these planets are stable? That is the power of nature. Even we don't know exact about dark matter, that remained a suspense, because dark matter and dark energy that constitute majority of the energy of our universe, even they are not observed in clear cut manner by our scientists, by our telescope, and by our machinery. So that is the point that represents how nature is big, how universe is big, and how we are small, fraction of fraction, and how our intelligence is weak. So don't be over much confident like how I am bigger than nature and how I have the knowledge of everything. This is basically just a fraction of fractions of fractions of fractions and another fraction. Okay, so you should be well aware. So we have talked about in this article like how gravitational instability affect the evolution of galaxy. And when we talk about galaxy, it is a system of stars, stellar remnants, clouds, gas, dust, and dark matter, and all these are bounded by gravity. And in the galaxy we have the planets, we have the stars, and we are also a part of one galaxy. Name the galaxy, which galaxy is we are a part of that. Okay, you have to comment in the comment box. So this is the point. So the research, the study conducted by the Indian Institute of Astrophysics, and it could help understand how gravitational instability are connected to galaxy evolution. Like this indicates that gravitational instability in a spiral galaxy, they rapidly converts a substantial amount of gas into star. How a star gets formed, you should understand. When there is a galaxy, there is a cloud over dominating air. So under the influence of gravity, the cloud gets accumulated, and they forms gas. Similarly, the planet formation do occurs like that. Okay, so that is the point, and this study may help in understanding the evolution of galaxy, because we have the billions of galaxy. We even don't know how much galaxy existing, and there may be a life on that planet in different galaxy. That is very much interesting, but we are not able to find any life until and unless our planet Earth is. Okay, maybe in future we get to know about the planet and the life. So now next article is about Nagorno-Karabakh region, which is a disputed region between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Even UPSC do had asked this question about this region, because UPSC loves to ask the region which is in news, which is specifically in news due to the dispute. So when we talk about the Nagorno-Karabakh region, international level or at the international law, the Nagorno-Karabakh region belongs to whom? Belongs to Azerbaijan, but currently it is under the control of Armenia, because it is dominated by Armenian ethnic population. This is the region of Nagorno-Karabakh. Okay, this is the region of Nagorno-Karabakh, and you could look that it is between Armenia and Azerbaijan, but officially it belongs to Azerbaijan, but it is under the control of Armenia. So that is the point I highlighted here. You can get further details in by searching in the Google or the book itself. Okay, you should visit. And remember, when we talk about the dispute, you should also look about the Aspaska region, like Caspian Sea. It is also important sea, and UPSC loves to ask questions bordering the countries along with the important location. Okay, like Russia borders the Caspian Sea, Azerbaijan borders the Caspian Sea, but Armenia is landlocked country, but Armenia borders with Turkey. Okay, so you should look overall perspective of this region to get better understanding. Like in the Russia-Ukraine war, UPSC in 2023 prelims, they talked about whom? They talked about Black Sea, but in different way, like landlocked countries. It talked about landlocked countries. So you should understand about the landlocked countries of that region. So you should have the perspective like that. Now we are moving to the last article, like the Asian Development Bank. It predicted that India's GDP growth may be 6.3% this financial year. And you should understand, when we talk about this financial year, meaning it is starting from 1st of April 2023 and it will end to 31st of March 2024. That is the point. And you should not be in confusion about when we talk about financial year 2022 or we talk about financial year 23 or financial year 2024. So you should be clear cut on this. And when we talk about the prediction, earlier the ADB had predicted 6.4%, but now it has reduced from 0.1% to 6.3%. Why the ADB had decreased the prediction? It is all because we are seeing that the impact of disturbing and erratic rainfall in India, like affecting the crops of the different states, like we have seen in the some, we have seen in the drought like situation is becoming in the August month, which remains a month of heavy rainfall, but this year we are having the drought pattern in this month of August. So this may reduce the production of the crops, and this will also affect the pulses sowing period, because it can lower the sowing for pulses in the Kharif season. Okay, and you should also understand about the pulse, and you should also know about the rice. And UPSC do had asked about the rice crop as well as pulses. For example, we are majorly dependent on import for pulse. Okay, why? Despite we have the one of the highest production of pulse, it is all because we have the higher number of consumption due to the higher population. This is also one of the point. And but the ADP do have talked about that robust domestic consumption, if promoted by government, will ensure consumer confidence, and also if government promotes investments or otherwise the private investment, then definitely the growth may increase. So the basic point is that. And I want to ask you a question. Tell me about the GDP, है ना? Tell me about the GDP and what India ranks at the global level in terms of GDP. Do tell in the comment section. This will also boost your interaction and your thinking capability. So we have talked about, friends, today's discussion. I think the discussion has become very long, but I wanted to tell you the basics. So in today's discussion, that is the end of the discussion. Thank you, friends. We'll meet again with our very interesting series of discussion. For now, thank you very much.